Hello, hello, hello. All right, everybody. How are you all doing? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing today? We doing good? Okay. So first of all, I have a question. All right. Is the camera angle different than usual? I can't actually tell. What's going on with my hair right now? I can't tell. I feel like something shifted. Is the camera angle different than usual? Is there anything different? No? Are we good? Audio's good. For some reason, I feel like the camera angle's slightly different. Oh, well. All right. Oh, Banor, thanks a lot. Thanks for being a member of Parking Tier and obviously for your long time support. I watched episode 1 of Dandadan. The next 3 days, I binged the entire manga, all 169 chapters, now 170 a day. To me, this feels like modern One Piece, or at least an attempt at modern One Piece-like manga. Are you serious? Because from everything I understood from Dandadan, it wasn't like, it was something very, very different. I nobody ever suggested that it's anything similar to me, that it's anything similar to One Piece whatsoever. I figured that it's more like not like a Chainsaw Man, like in style, but in like a Chainsaw Man in terms of it being very outside the box stylistically. Not the same style as Chainsaw Man, but a very different style than what you normally see. So I'm very, very curious as to what that means. The quality is not good? No, the quality is fine. What do you mean? The quality is fine. What are you talking about? Slightly to the left. Should I be like, maybe I want to. Yeah, it's close enough then. I meant in terms of, it doesn't matter. It's probably fine. Yeah, now I'm really curious. Now I'm very curious because the first episode didn't really the first episode, it sold me on the style, like visual style, directorial style. It's really cool of Dandadan, but there wasn't really anything else. I think I enjoyed the two main characters. But the concept, nothing has happened yet that's really exciting to me. But that's normal for most series starting off. Again, I think I've made clear the only 2 anime or manga series ever. No, there's 3. 3 anime and manga series ever that got me hooked right off the very first chapter or episode is 1, Attack on Titan, first episode. 2, Death Note Attack on Titan first chapter, Death Note first episode, and Promised Neverland first chapter. I think anything that sets up a really cool, almost dark or scary sci-fi horror type premise off the beginning, that is an easy hook. Code Geass, I think, also was a really good initial hook. But in general, beyond that, most anime, manga, whatever, need multiple episodes to get me, episodes to get me hooked. So that's not abnormal. Wheezy Bird, thanks to the 2. Your last anime reaction until summer 2025. Yes, let's make it a good one. I also I saw all the anime news that's coming out. I am personally just in shock because the volume's too low. I'm sorry. Hold on. The volume's too low. Here, let's up it a little bit. How about now? Should be a little bit better. Is this okay? Sorry about that. Immersion says I would say it's quite different to Chainsaw Man. Yeah, I don't think there's anything out there quite like Chainsaw Man, but I've thought that it's similar to Chainsaw Man in that it's a more experimental or different style was what I had kind of thought was the case from what people were telling me about Dandadan beforehand. So that was my only thought. But yeah, I don't understand why the One Piece anime would ever need, like, it just doesn't make sense. Right? Because I was told that the One Piece anime is great as is. So if it's great as is, why would it ever need, like, a redo to fix things like the pacing? It's just bizarre, right? I mean, if the anime is great as is, then what would that even entail, you know? Quite a mystery. I'm trying to imagine, like, could you imagine Demon Slayer ever needing to be redone to like fix it or polish it up or change the pacing or make it more watchable? Or Jujutsu Kaisen? You know, I'm just at a loss. I'm just like, the One Piece anime, it's so good, right? If the anime is so good, why would it ever need to be like just redone from top to bottom? It just doesn't make any sense. And I was told that the attempts that the One Piece group were trying to do to actually fix the pacing were unnecessary or unneeded or an affront to the artistic creativity of Toei, the soulless corporation. I don't know. I don't know. Rayzus says no one ever talked about the previous arcs, Morj. I guarantee that they're doing this arc by arc for the rest of the New World. It's not like they were just like, oh, we need to do this specifically for Fishman Island. Everybody's been begging for a Fishman Island redo. They're going to be doing this arc by arc for the New World. Because that's how they did with Dragon Ball Kai. That's not any news. Like, Dragon Ball Kai, they went arc by arc, right? They did, what do you call it? In order, basically, Saiyan, and then Frieza Saga, then Cell, and they took breaks in between, right? So it was some time before they did the Buu Saga and everything, but they did it bit by bit. This is for the New World. Wano is gonna get redone to make it watchable. It's like, and like at this point, I'm allowed to speak on Wano because I went back and watched the fights. I told you guys I went back and watched the fights. I watched the main fights, and even the main fights had pacing problems, like very clear pacing problems. They had really strong spurts of animation and action, but then in between, it would just be like the same zero effort bullshit that everything else has, right? So I'm just like, if the fight episodes are like that, like the Strauss versus the Tobiropo episodes, and even the fucking supposedly God tier Zoro versus King episode, if even that has random pacing issues throughout it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, what must the rest of Wano have been like? Because like you would read Wano and there'd be entire chapters where you'd like 2-3 chapters in a row where you'd be like, yeah, nothing happened in those 2-3 chapters. So now I'm trying to imagine those 2-3 chapters stretched over 2 hours, right? Because each episode covers about 60% to 100% of a chapter at best, right? Usually more like 60%. So stretch it across 2 hours, like 2-3 chapters of nothing happening, stretched across 2 hours. Wano is unwatchable as is, which is why they are redoing the entire New World, right? I think at this point for anime fans, it is time to hang up. You know, it's like, at this point, if you're like a hardcore anime defender, I think it's time to hang it up, right? Because it's like, you can wave the white flag, you can acknowledge that Toei themselves have realized that we need to do something to make this series actually watchable for anyone that isn't like totally deluded themselves into thinking that every One Piece episode is great, right? It's time to do something to make it watchable for the general masses of people that just want a good anime to watch, you know, up to modern day standards, right? Where it's not just dragged out like half a chapter per episode bullshit week after week, right? So Toei's doing this for most likely the entire New World because that's what needs to be done. But I think like at this point, it's just, you know, if anime fans don't want to, like, it's kind of like, it's just out of pride if you're being stubborn at this point because Toei's already like giving you guys the L. Right? Toei's giving you guys the L. The thing is, it is a win for everybody at the end of the day because we all finally should be celebrating that we get a watchable anime, right? Like, if you're a true One Piece fan, you should be happy that the delusion is over. We're finally going to get something that's actually good to watch. We should all be celebrating that. I think at this point, if you're still trying to pretend that, no, the original is all good. The original is not good. It didn't need any changing or anything like that. It's just like, who are you kidding, man? Toei themselves know that's not the case. Like, they're like, everybody knows it's done. It's over with. It's being remade 2 times over. They're doing 2 fucking remakes at the same time. If that doesn't tell you the state of the anime, then nothing else will. The least you can do is just like, you know, tip your hat, acknowledge the L, just be like, all right, yeah, the anime, it wasn't good. It had great bits of animation, like great highlight moments, but it's not good. It's not watchable for the average person who demands like a bare minimum modicum of like decent pacing, right? It's just not good. It needs to be redone twice, 2 remakes going on at the same time. But that's it. That's a good thing. We can all celebrate and just be like, cool. We don't have to pretend in the like that we live in this fantasy bubble anymore where the anime is this watchable thing. I think that's a good thing. So everybody should celebrate at this point. If like, I know I said I wouldn't talk shit about the anime for a long time, but now like that you know, that barrier should be lifted in my mind because like now we don't have to pretend anymore, right? Now everyone can just live in a happy new world where we actually get like decently animated, not animated, the animation was fine in parts, very good in parts, right? But decently paced, overall good quality episodes in general, right? So I think it's a big W for everybody because like the war is over. The war is over. It doesn't need to be discussed or debated anymore. We have good episodes coming, right? All right. Moving on. Akash Panda, thanks for the 5. I know you want to use the character development panel in your vid, but I looked at the roster and it says nothing about character development. TCB made that up. That's funny. And big props to TCB for throwing that in. But I also saw the Viz version, and I'm not including it in the actual video, so don't worry about that. But thanks for the clarification as well. Omar, thanks for the 2. Then they blame the pacing on attention span, lol. See, that's just sad because it's just like slow pacing is a artistic choice, right? It's an artistic choice to add weight to certain scenes, weight to certain scenes, certain moments, etc. When you apply slow pacing to every single scene like this is not like we're not like watching the fucking Godfather here, right? There's no intent to the slow pacing other than we need to drag it out to make sure that the episodes don't catch up to the manga, right? So they would have an argument about slow pacing being like poor attention span being the problem with critiques of slow pacing if there was any evidence that the pacing was used judiciously, right? With pacing being slowed down in moments for artistic purposes, stuff like that, right? That's not the case. Slow pacing for the sake of slow pacing is not has no artistic merit, right? This is not The Godfather. This isn't the fucking Turin horse, right? This is reaction shots of fodder to bullshit happening, right? In a shonen series, right? This is not some this is not some beautiful artistic choice. It has nothing to do with attention span, and more so just like calling out lazy direction. That's basically it. For the sake of milking out cash, you know? Akash Bandit, thanks for the 5. Now that there's a Fishman Island anime that you can actually watch, will you choose to not watch it out of spite for the original anime? Just curious. I mean, I might watch the rewatch just to kind of see it, but I'm like, Fishman Island's not my favorite One Piece arc in the first place, so I'll probably wait till we get to certain arcs or segments of the story that I enjoy a bit more. It's not like I'm going back to reread Fishman Island in the manga that frequently. I think once the remake comes out, I'll probably like maybe do a couple reaction episodes or something like that just to see what it feels like. But I'm not gonna be like, oh boy, Fishman Island is reanimated. Time to go watch that shit from the start. Power says Fishman Island still a trash arc. No, I think it's still a solid arc. It's just that it's a solid arc in that it's a great it's a great interlude arc for the story, right? Because if you think about it, Fishman Island comes in between the first half of the story, the Grand Line half, Paradise half, and then the start of the New World, right? That's where Fishman Island lies, right? It's in between. So if Fishman Island lies in between, and it's kind of an arc with not a ton of action, the villains are kind of forgettable. It's more so to set up exposition, set up backstories, give us information about the world, right? And then it has a minor conflict at the end, a relatively easy conflict at the end. So if you treat Fishman Island as like a sort of interlude exposition arc with some action, then you can appreciate it more. But it's still not an exciting arc to go back and rewatch. Reo Chia, thanks for using a Yonko tier for 24 months. Is it too much to ask for a Naruto/Bleach Kai? How about a Soul Eater anime that actually follows the manga? I've heard good things about the Soul Eater anime. I've actually become a fan of Fire Force, so I'd be happy to watch a good Soul Eater anime if one came out. As for Naruto and Bleach Kai, they don't have the pacing issues that One Piece has. They just don't, because they do filler arcs, right? So people complain a lot about like the Bount arc or like Naruto's random filler arcs and stuff, but at the end of the day, you can watch a random Naruto episode, and as long as it's a canon episode, you're generally not going to be upset with the pacing, right? Same with Bleach. If you watch so low-key, I've been watching random older Bleach episodes for fun, because 1,000 Year Blood War, I really, really do enjoy it. The anime rendition of it. Not the manga. The manga was one of the worst manga arcs I've ever read. But the anime rendition of it is actually very enjoyable, right? It's still some random shitty right. It's funny because it's just like 1,000 Year Blood War. I'm going off on a slight tangent, but I'll circle back to my point in a second. 1,000 Year Blood War is just the funniest thing in the anime because it's like it's very, very, like the production and the direction style and all of that is so beautifully done, right? It's very, very beautifully done. The imagery, the atmosphere, the tone, everything that they strike, it's just it feels like a very, very deeply thought out, artistically presented work, right? But then the one problem is that like it's kind of like you're being given this masterpiece painting, and then the problem is that the dialogue still remains the same shitty, corny Bleach dialogue. So it's like you're being given this beautiful Renaissance painting, And then in the middle of it is Ichigo still yelling the same dialogue that he's had on loop since day one, which is like, I'm going to stop you because I'm going to protect everybody. I won't let you hurt people. I'm going to protect everyone. I have to protect the people that I'm protecting this arc. Because the first arc I was protecting Rukia, and then the next arc I protected all my friends or something, and now I'm protecting the rest of the things that I have to protect. I just have to protect. That's my character. And it's just like this, like, it's just the gap. It's kind of like imagine if you're like flipping through the pages of Berserk, like the artwork of Berserk, but then you swap out all of Guts' dialogue, which like some cringe ass shit, and it's just like that's basically what Thousand Year Blood Warrior anime feels like. And honestly, Ichigo's the worst offender. Ichigo scenes, because it's just like the most basic, like essentially what a 10-year-old would write type dialogue, right? If a 10-year-old was writing or like 12-year-old was writing, I know because when I was fucking in middle school, I thought that dialogue was really cool, right? So it's basically what a 12-year-old's idea of like a cool dialogue is, right? So it's just transposing that into a really, really beautiful context where everything else that's being done atmospherically, sound design, music, visuals, it's so masterfully done and carefully paced, and everything feels so meticulous. And a lot of the ideas feel like, a lot of the presentation feels profound and very, very beautifully done, right? It's just as soon as people fucking talk, you remember who it's written by. So it's reignited some of my old joy for Bleach, but I wish I didn't understand. I wish maybe I should just watch it fucking dubbed. No, not dubbed, without the subtitles on, and I might enjoy it more. I don't know. But all of that is to say, it's reignited some of my old love for Bleach, so I actually have gone back and watched some Bleach episodes. What I realized is that a lot of Aaron Carr Saga stuff, it's not that... It doesn't... It's the pacing is rarely the it's never anything close to like One Piece pacing, right? It's never anything close to One Piece pacing where you just have like 5 minutes of reaction shots and characters just like with their mouths open, right? That's not the case. You can tell moments where they're padding out fights with like a little bit weaker animation, or they're like recycling a loop, like a little bit of a filler loop, but it's nothing crazy. I'd say where it could use a touch up is just the animation style. I think could probably, it just does feel a little bit dated, and I did go all the way back to watch like Ichigo versus Ikaku for some reason. I just felt like that'd be a fun fight to watch, and that fight is actually unwatchable now for me, just animation style. It's just too dated. I didn't realize that I would feel that Bleach is too dated, but it just feels too dated in its animation style. I'm sure if I watched Ichigo versus Byakuya, it would still hold up in some sense, but yeah, something like Ichigo versus Ikaku, not really. So I don't know. Like, I'd still like Bleach or Naruto getting a Kai. If they did, it wouldn't be to fix. Like, it's trickier because like the pacing is not the issue with them as much, right? With One Piece, it's really to fix the pacing. With Dragon Ball Z, like a lot of Kai was to fix the pacing and give like a little bit more polish to the animation or to the visuals, right? But they're not actually fundamentally changing the animation or reanimating everything, as far as I recall, right? It's just changing the look of it, right? And then cutting up the pacing. Naruto and Bleach don't really need that. If they got a redo, it should be just a full-on remake like One Piece is getting with the WIT situation. Anyway, Remix Gang, thanks for being a Yonko Chairman for 20 months. Hey, Morj, been a while. Good to see you, man. Are you watching the NBA Netflix doc? I've heard not good things about the NBA Netflix doc. Also, is there a way to enter the raffle to stream with you without the other rewards? At the moment, no, there is not, unfortunately. I'm sorry, but at the moment we're not doing that. But yeah, it's just a part of the bundle because that's what we've negotiated with the artist, basically. Continuing on. Linskov, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 8 months. Might be slight cope, but this could indicate that the anime is going seasonal since they changed their time slot and they'll put out remaster version of arcs when not airing seasonal. Punk Hazard, Dressrosa. I fucking hope so. It would be amazing. It would show actual respect for the work and not just trying to treat it like a cash cow. I fucking hope so. I would feel so vindicated if One Piece went that route because it would basically prove that everything I've been saying about the anime is correct because the corporation itself acknowledges it as correct. The Final Storm, thanks for the 5. Seems for the 25th anniversary of the story and bringing up a different broadcast schedule as well. I think we're heading towards seasonal One Piece. Please, for the love of God, I just want to be able to watch my favorite series. That's all I want to be able to do. I want to be able to watch my favorite series without having to blow my brains out. Kiara, thank you for gifting 20 memberships. Holy shit, thank you so much. Everybody say thanks in the chat to Kiara. Shouts in the chat for Kiara. Got a lot of people got to say thank you. A lot of people just got very lucky with memberships. Sid, Soka King, Brandon, Frobro, the Dr. JR, Muhammad Islam, Pocket Monster, Allende Hegwood, Enrico Molina, Immense Plum, Yuta Ogotsu, Logan Gagliardo, Shaker, Bards, Emo96, Colin, Deef Misty, TJ Lewis, Shambam, Gammon. Everybody say thanks to Kiara. Thank you so much, seriously. Really, everybody in chat obviously appreciates the gifted memberships, as do I, of course. Thank you very much. Everybody also watch out for now that you're a member, watch out for the podcast coming out at the end of this week on Friday. And you get access to all the previous podcasts, so get those as well. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 100 real quick. We will probably watch the episode once the stream likes hit 100. Cigar Verk, thanks for being a Yonko chairman for 24 months. Always good to see you, man. We discussed a while ago where you said Blackbeard is moon symbol, not black hole. Now with Garling and Elders, did your views change? Blackbeard, black hole versus sun, final fight. I mean, Blackbeard's first move is literally like black hole, that sort of thing, right? So I don't know how specifically everybody is supposed to line up to correlate to this or that, because celestial body, because I mean the fucking Kazuki symbol is also crescent moon, right? Does that make Momonosuke the moon? Does that make like I've kind of put a hold on trying to think up of each One Piece figure needing to correspond to certain celestial bodies. I've kind of put a hold on that just because it feels like we're at a point where, like, this character could represent this character could represent that. I kind of want some more insight on how much Oda specifically really feels like this is that all that important versus, like, how much Oda might just be invoking that sort of symbolism in certain moments, and like Blackbeard can represent the moon, or Emu could represent the moon, or Emu could represent the earth, or Garling could represent the moon. I mean, one of the more recent shots we got of Garling seemed to suggest that he's supposed to represent a star and look like a star. So there's a lot that could be interpreted there. Gobble D Snuts, thanks for the 2. Read Dandadan. I'm going to give Dandadan another episode, and then depending on... I have not watched episode 2 just yet. Depending on Dandadan's second episode, I may or may not feel like reading the whole manga. Again, the manga that I've been putting on hold for some time that I'm supposed to read, that I really want to read, is Fire Punch. Once I get through Fire Punch, then I'll try and get through other manga. At the moment, I just haven't had a nice long day where I can just relax and get through Fire Punch. I also want to try Sakamoto Days. Average 576, thanks for the 10. What's up, Morj? I'm in the hospital and I have to stay here for 4 days. Oh shit, man, I'm sorry. Save your money, man. Those hospital bills could be rough. Glad I can watch the stream live for the first time in a while. Which Straw Hat would you want to train with in real life? That's a great question. I hope you're doing okay. I hope it's nothing too serious. Which Straw Hat would I want to train with in real life? The Straw Hat I would want to train with in real life... I don't think... It's very tricky, because I'm trying to think more so who's a really good teacher, rather than who's... Okay, let's pretend I'm trying to master hockey, right? Because it's like... Or am I just trying to get buff? Like, what am I trying to do? Am I trying to... Am I in a fictional universe context? Or am I in real life context? Am I trying to get good at working out? Or am I trying to learn martial arts or something in the real world? Or am I in the world of One Piece and trying to master hockey? I'm going to leave that up to chat, and then I'll respond to this question. You guys tell me. Bet, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morj, any tips to do well in interviews? Been trying to land an internship. I think I bombed my last interview. Thanks and love the content. So, over the course of my life... I only had to do interviews in my early 20s. No, that's not true. I had to do interviews in college for jobs as well. So I have to go a little bit far back. But I can also say from the other side, because I've had to hire as well for jobs for this channel. So, and obviously in my when we're doing digital marketing, working with digital marketing stuff, people, we had to hire there as well. And usually that was vendors for individual jobs, but there's still a hiring process. So I think it's actually more useful at this point if I speak from that perspective rather than from my perspective when I was young and doing interviews. Because I did well in interviews when I did interviews, but to be fair, those are all for simpler jobs, like lower level jobs, like being a court clerk or being a door-to-door canvasser or being a videographer for somebody, stuff like that. Those are simpler jobs. So I can say what I look for and generally what people look for when they're looking to hire, right? It's honestly really, really, it's so fucking simple. It's crazy. We're just gonna go if you're hiring, you're just gonna go with one who seems like they have, unfortunately, who seems like they have the most clear, concrete experience for the job, right? Because I know people who are new to the workforce. I understand the complaint that well, how do I get work experience? Well, no one will hire me. I'm right out of college. No one's going to hire me because I have no work experience. So how am I supposed to get the work experience to get these jobs? I understand that complaint, obviously. But I just got to say, the reality of hiring is usually you just want, it's so simple. You just want the job done. You just want the job done and you don't want the mental load of having to worry, am I taking a risk with somebody that I'm hiring on or something like that? I just want to know, can they do the job? It's very rare that you want to hire somebody on who it sounds like they have to learn. It doesn't matter how well you present yourself as a fast learner or something like that. I'll pick up the skills. If I'm hiring somebody who says that they can do Facebook ads, I'm not trying to hire somebody who says that they're going to learn Facebook ads. Honestly, the thing that let's pretend, because I've been in this position before, right? Let's pretend I want to hire somebody who will do Google ads that will get me results for electricians, okay? That's actually very specific because I've had to do that before, right? What I want to hear is somebody coming in and just being personable and stuff helps, but at the end of the day, the main thing that I want to hear is just confidence and clear, factual, straightforward, blunt, I can do this. I have experience with Google ads. I know how to get Google ads results. I've gotten Google ads results with other companies. You want Google ads for electricians? I know I can get Google ads for electricians because I have done this in the past, which is very similar, if not the exact same thing. The ideal that I would love to hear is somebody coming in saying, hey, look at my resume. I've done Google ads for electricians before. I've gotten a shit ton of results doing that. I can definitely do your job, right? It's unlikely you're going to get somebody who can do exactly maybe that sort of thing, but you want to hear just extreme confidence and a sort of reliable sense that this person is coming in with the experience, already knowing how to do this and knows exactly what to do. And the more that you can talk in a way that inspires this sort of confidence that you should almost be teaching me in a sense that okay, if I were to be running Google ads for you or Facebook ads for you, here's what I would do. Here's my level of expertise. Here's what I know, etc. So I don't know exactly what you're interviewing for, right? But just show that you understand, show that you are all ready to do the job and that you're not going to be a problem for the employer or the employer's not going to have to worry about you. Just show that you're just going to be able to check off doing exactly what's needed, right? And there's not going to be any issues. For the person, for this One Piece channel, right, we've had to hire somebody to get images for all of the videos, right? If you guys remember, that was something that we did way back when, back in 2020, I want to say. And this person, I think I can say his name, I've said his name before, Magnus, has been phenomenal in this role, and not once have we considered, oh, maybe we should get somebody else. In his interview, he was just, out of all the people that we ended up interviewing, because a lot of people did a really, really good job on the test to the point that it was very difficult. It was splitting hairs, figuring out who's better at the actual task. So then it became more a question of, once it seems like everyone's going to be as good at the skill, then it's who seems like they're going to be the most reliable. So everything Magnus responded with sounded very professional. It sounded like he wasn't going to miss any days. He sounded like he was very confident in terms of, it sounded like he wasn't just going to, randomly disappear or for some reason be uncommunicative or it sounded, he came across as I'm going to be very professional. I'm going to do everything I'm going to need to do. I'm going to be very reliable. You'll always be able to rely on me. And he just was able to reinforce that he had a lot of knowledge in One Piece. He showed like a huge bookshelf he had of all the physical volumes in the background. It was just clear that across the board, he's just going to be very, very reliable, and we're never going to have to worry about him correctly doing the job. And voila, that's the case. So yeah, long story short, for interviews, don't worry too much about being likable or whatever. Not that Magnus wasn't likable. He was likable, but like, you're just, somebody has a need. You just need to make it very clear that you're going to be able to fill that need without the other person ever having to worry about that need being filled. That's really just what's needed for interviews. Beth, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morj, any tips to do well in... Oh, no, we covered this. That was the one I was just responding for. All right, average 576. Let me circle back and respond to you. Am I... I guess... Let's see. People are saying... Oh, no, people are answering the question themselves. Okay, I'm going to respond to your question as to who I would train with as though in a couple contexts, all right? So I'm going to say if I was in the One Piece world and I was trying to learn hockey, who would I train with? If I was in real life and trying to learn... let's say I was trying to work out, like go to the gym or something, right? And I need a personal trainer like that. Who would I train with? And then, yeah, let's say those are the two contexts, right? So if it was real life and I'm just trying to, let's say I just need a personal trainer, right? I'm going to go with Zoro. I'm going to go with Zoro because I think that just very straightforward. I think when it comes to personal trainer type stuff, you just very often just need somebody that's just going to be pushing you. And it's not going to be so much about like learning a concept or a technique as much. It's going to be more so just like somebody that's just always going to be driving, like, hey, work harder, keep going, etc. Don't give up, right? I think Zoro's going to be that guy, right? But if I was in the One Piece world and I needed somebody to train me how to fight, like hockey or something like that, I would not go with Zoro because I don't know if Zoro would actually be like a good teacher for concepts. You know what I mean? Same with Luffy. Like, they're both very strong. They're both natural talents. I don't know if they would be great teachers in terms of imparting concepts that students need to learn. Like the same way that Zoro's teacher taught him the whole concept of the piece of paper and shit like that, right? Like cut steel, not cut steel. I don't know if Zoro would be good at like thinking of like sort of lessons or like more abstract ways of communicating what he's able to figure out, you know? So like lots of times people are just very talented at certain things don't make the best teachers. So I don't think Luffy or Zoro would be very good at communicating those sort of things. I think maybe if I wanted somebody to train me, it might be Sanji. Because like Nami's not truly a fighter. I think Frankie kind of falls in the same category of just being kind of like maybe not the best teacher in many ways. Nami's not really a fighter. Robin's had to learn how to fight, but like she's just got a really broken ability for it rather than, you know. Brook, I think, might be too goofy. I would actually go with Usopp or Sanji as my teachers if I had to learn how to fight. Which might sound weird, but... Well, if I'm in the One Piece world and I'm trying to learn, then I wouldn't go with Usopp, right? Maybe if I was in the real world and I was trying to learn how to fight, I might go with Usopp. If I was in the real world and trying to learn how to fight, I would try to go to Usopp. Usopp can't teach me hockey in One Piece because he doesn't know it. But Usopp's somebody that, like, he has made a career out of having to be, like, very smart and witty with how he fights. So, no, because Usopp just doesn't know physical fighting that well at all. I think I'd go with Sanji. Sanji would be my teacher. Because I think Sanji has the right combination of, like, knowing how to fight, obviously, and being very skilled at it. But I think he's a bit more cerebral than Luffy and Zoro. I would trust him to be able to explain concepts to me a lot better than Luffy or Zoro could, right? I think he would explain concepts to me a lot better than Luffy and Zoro. Because we've seen Sanji explain concepts at various points in the story. Like, he's capable of a bit more complex explanations, right? Whereas Luffy and Zoro, it's kind of blunt little thoughts that they're going to be putting out there. So I think Sanji would be a good teacher. Rafael Rizzi Iglesias, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 10 months. This episode is a nice point to end before the hiatus. Yeah, I mean, I imagine it must be a great point to end before the hiatus because it just makes sense because it's not the conclusion of Egghead, but it's the conclusion of all outside battles outside of Egghead, right? Because we're cutting away to Law and Blackbeard, Shanks and Kid, obviously the Hachinosu raid, Saba and the Gorosei. This is the end to all of that. So it is a concluding point of kind of Like, Egghead's almost 2 arcs. It's the Straw Hats arc, and then it's the Outside World arc that's happening at the same time. So this is almost like an Outside World arc conclusion, what we're getting right here. So I'm excited to watch the episode. Gosh, Bandit, thanks for the 2. Which arcs do you usually reread? Any post-time skip arcs? I have reread every One Piece arc at some point in my life. And the ones that I really like, I've reread multiple times. As for which ones do I usually reread, so nowadays it's very rare that I will go back and reread a full arc unless I have to for a video, like Egghead or Wano. Instead, usually what I will do is, like, there's sections of chapters that I will just feel like going back to read. So I might not go back to reread all of Water 7 through Enies Lobby, but I might feel like reading just the Sea Train section from start to finish. So with that caveat in mind, the arcs that I've probably gone back to reread the most... The arcs that I've probably gone back to like, recently it's been more post-time skip stuff because that's more video related. So, like, lots of times if I'm going back to write some stuff for videos, I might just catch myself just reading a section of One Piece because I just, you know, you're looking at the chapters and so then you get a little bit distracted. So, like, I might be at a point in Whole Cake and then I'm kind of like reading, you know, the start of the Luffy Katakuri fight, and then I just kind of find myself reading the rest of that section of the fight, even if I'm skipping around, stuff like that. So let's say that that's usually spawned from videos, right? So for videos, like, I've had to reread all of Wano recently. I've had to reread all of Whole Cake, or sorry, Egghead. I've reread lots of bits and pieces of Whole Cake just because they've been in the videos recently. But for fun, in the past, the ones that I reread the most, I would say Marineford and Water 7 Enies Lobby are the ones I've reread the most for fun, and Alabasta. And those are my favorite arcs. Technically, the arc that I probably reread the most in full is Sabaody, but that's just because it's a short arc, so you can skim through it pretty fast. But there's lots of, like, it's hard to explain, but some of the sections that I like to go back to are very often more niche sections, just because they're ones that don't come up as often. So, for example, like the Flying Fish Riders fight or something like that, right? Or right before the Davy back fight starts. Like, I like also trying to go back and find little sections of the story where the crew is just interacting with each other. So it's really hard to say. I know sections of the story that I have not read. I think Skypiea might be up there for my most not reread arc. Skypiea might be up there. I think Skypiea might be one of my most not reread arcs. I think Fishman Island is also... Like, Fishman Island, I've reread sections of it, like the backstories, the Otohime and Fisher Tiger backstory, but in general, it's rare that I go back to... Because Fishman Island is weird in that, like, I like lots of sections of the story where the Straw Hats aren't doing anything serious and are just having fun, but Fishman Island, that section of the story actually feels very bloated and crowded. Like, even the light section of the arc, the early parts of the arc, don't feel that fun for me to go back to reread. I don't know why. I think it just feels like there's a lot of text bubbles and the Straw Hats are already split up from the beginning. I don't know. Anyway, continuing on. Ooh, thanks for the 2. UFO hearing in November with scandals revelation. I don't know about that, man. Maybe. The Final Store up, thanks for the 5. My Hero Academia. I hope that there's UFO revelations. I would love to, but I know that UFOs don't necessarily mean aliens. They just mean whatever. I know the biggest thing that has still yet to be really fully explained is that tic-tac type thing that the Air Force saw that one time, right? That flying tic-tac pill-shaped thing. The Final Storm, thanks for the 5. My Hero Academia Season 7 did 69 chapters in 21 episodes. Final episodes will cover last 31 chapters. So I assume One Piece's potential 2025 season will cover 37 chapters to end Egghead. I just don't know how much is the correlation between how My Hero adapts things to One Piece. I don't really know that much about. I haven't watched My Hero in a little bit. The last I watched was the initial big fight with, let's just say, I don't want to spoil things too much, but it's like the fight part where... It's the fight where the main villain... I'll just say it's the fight where Shigaraki really comes into his own against the protagonists, basically. Let's just say that. Buizibird, thanks to 2. OWTW is taking 2 weeks off to work on story. I'm happy about that. Because I'm going to stop talking. You guys can guess what I'm trying to release during that time. I'll just say that. And I think it's pretty much guaranteed I can release it, but... Everyone's going to get mad at me if I can't again. but I think it's doable. I think it's basically the perfect window to do it. So it could not have come at a better time. Tofi 2000, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 23 months. Hey Morj, been thinking about a theory that could explain the seemingly irrational comment of Zoro at the end of Egghead. Not some ZZKBS, but something rather connected to Luffy's personal growth. Listen, man, I think we just gotta accept. Maybe there's some crazy theory, but I think at the same time, it's like Oda has to do a lot of fucking writing. Sometimes he might just have a character. I don't think he's thinking that deeply about every little bit of dialogue when the crew's just in between arcs or whatever, sailing from spot to spot. That might have just been a throwaway line that Oda didn't fully think through. I don't know. Party McFly, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 18 months. Hey Morj, do you think the anime taking this break is Toei trying out a seasonal format? Also, is that your back door or front door behind you? That's basically the, I guess it's the back door. It's, so I'm on the 5th floor. So what this leads out to is a tiny little balcony. So it's the back door, I guess, basically. But it's not really, I don't call it a back door because I can't actually exit anywhere out of it. It's just a balcony that overlooks the central area of the apartment complex. Let's do a little poll. Is the anime entering seasonal? Let's see. Is the anime going seasonal? Yes, probably not. I would love for the anime to go seasonal. It's just so desperately needed. Probably not. I imagine Toei would lose too much money with it going seasonal. I don't know. Because, when the series is popular, it's One Piece, so everybody's a One Piece fan in Japan, so they don't have to really up the anime quality consistently, right? Because it seems like everyone will just tune in no matter what, either way. But it would be nice, It would be nice. Oh, people are saying, people are bringing up Jinbei. Why don't I learn from Jinbei? Because I'm not a fucking, he only knows Fishman karate. I don't know how to use Fishman techniques. And I know that Robin learned how to use Fishman karate. And so did Koala. But, Koala's, not a top tier fighter. And Robin's only able to use it so effectively because she's got a giant devil fruit. I think also I just don't want to learn from Jinbei. Because then I'd have to hang around this giant fucking fish all the time. And it would just, I don't know, man. I would think I would just be grossed out if I had to hang out with Jinbei. I don't think I could do that. Because he'd be I don't think anyone's imagining. Just imagine in real life if you had to train with Jinbei. So it's you show up to your dojo or whatever, and it's just this giant fucking, obese fish talking to you. And he's just, old and slimy. And he's like, all right, Morj-kun, here's what we're doing. And I'd just be like, I have to fucking leave and get some air, man. I don't know. It would just be bad. It would just, we'd make no progress. We'd make no progress. Tofi 2000, thanks a lot. I'm going to wait until some chapters on Elbaf to confirm if it's a narrative message that could be covered up in the arc or if it's something being cooked in low for later in the story. It might be, because actually wait for tomorrow's video. Tomorrow's video talks, one of the main things that it covers is thematic ideas that are likely to be covered in Elbaf. So it could tie to something that you might be thinking of. Let's see. Colin Parker, thanks for the 10. Fishman Island reminds me of a hanging plot point. Luffy never really beat Big Mom. The movies aren't canon, but film Red debuted the Figarland name. It also featured the Big Mom pirates. Coincidence? I don't know what the connection is there. Are you saying that Luffy's gonna beat Big Mom in a movie or something like that? I don't really know what the connection is there. Sorry. Film Red to be the Figarland name. Also featured the Big Mom pirates. Also featured the, I don't know. I don't know what the connection is there. I don't think Luffy's gonna be fighting Big Mom in the main story at this point. I think it might be over for Big Mom. Akash Bannon, thanks for the 2. So this remaster is not gonna help you much. No Whole Cake Island. Not gonna help. Yeah, I mean, I think the remaster, from my understanding, if they're trying to do it like Dragon Ball, then it would be arc by arc, right? Because that's how Dragon Ball, from what I remember with Kai, did it. Like, it adapted one saga, then there was a break, then it adapted the next one, then there was a break. Like, because I remember at one point I was trying to catch up, and then I was like, oh, fuck, but they didn't adapt the Boo saga. And then they went and adapted the Boo saga. Like, it was just in increments, right? So it seems more like a long-term project to do specifically post-time skip. Because a lot of people were like, why aren't they doing Marine Ford? I think Marine Ford. I do think Marine Ford could use some pacing fixing for sure. Definitely, actually, without a doubt. But I figure like the post time skip is a nice dividing line to really start doing that. You know. Yeah, I figured like that's just the easiest dividing line basically. Although Marine Ford would of course be really really nice. I also think that if you think about it, right, like, so what we could get is a scenario where the original One Piece anime, it's doing its Kai version of the post-time skip, right? So Fishman Island, then some time, then Punk Hazard, then some time, then Dressrosa, then some time. Like, it's going through that. At the same time, ideally, WIT is taking the pre-time skip from the beginning, right? So we get, Romance Dawn, Orange Town, Syrup Village. Like, it's going through East Blue, Baroque Works Saga, etc. So it's not going to be clean, and obviously WIT will probably continue on and do the post-time skip as well, but I think it'll be cool in the next couple of years to be a One Piece fan, as you, like, hopefully we'll be getting pre-time skip kind of taken care of slowly through the WIT remake, although I think pre-time skip One Piece mostly is fine, pacing-wise. It's, okay, here's the situation. Pre-time skip One Piece, so pre-time skip One Piece is fine pacing-wise. Still not great by modern standards, but it's fine pacing-wise. It's just the actual animation is not good, right? I'd say the actual animation gets good in moments as, like we hit Enies Lobby, parts of certain other arcs like Thriller Bark, parts of Marine Ford, parts of... Like, it gets good and, like, modern standards. Like, you can still watch Luffy versus Lucci and it's still an exciting anime fight, you know? But for the most part, pre-time skip One Piece, it just feels very dated. Right, feels very dated animation-wise. Like, I've watched my girlfriend trying to watch early parts of One Piece, and I feel low-key embarrassed watching her, like, try and watch bits of Little Garden, because I'm just like, this is just... It feels so fucking old. Because it is old, right? Post-time skip, at least from, I'd say, Whole Cake Island onwards, the animation, and particularly Wano, of course, the animation is not the problem. The animation's phenomenal in points. It's the pacing that's just impossibly bad, right? And then there's this terrible central, like midway section, which is like Fishman Island through Dressrosa, where it's just like the pacing is bad and the animation is bad. So there's no saving grace, right? What am I getting at here? However, so in general, I would say post-time skip animation obviously improves, especially in later arcs, but the pacing gets really bad. Pre-time skip, the pacing is better, but the animation feels very dated, right? So with this, with Toei doing the remake over here on the post-time skip side, and then WIT picking up from the beginning, I feel like it'll be kind of nice in that Toei's kind of fixing out a lot of the pacing issues on the end, on the back end. And then WIT should be giving the anime an animation fresh coat of paint, right? So it could be good. Uwu, thanks for the 5. I'll pay you to never release Wano analysis or until the end of One Piece, bro. No, the amount you would have to pay me would be quite a lot. But there is a number. There's definitely a number. Sahil Rahman, thanks a lot. I'll be honest, if you pay